Bad week for Lane Meyers. Prosecutor Rachel Stiles gives notice that his victim is invoking her rights against harassment by the YouTuber. Says his past convictions will be brought up at trial. Regan Benson confronts police in Denver again. Wants high-speed chases to end in the city. The angry vet goes after Manuel Mata. Will their infighting disrupt Mata's efforts to stop a change to the interference law in Texas? Plus, Chille DeCastro releases his dirty laundry on Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, and Dale Lackluster Hiller. Was it devastating to their defense, as DiCastro claims? I am your humble newsreader, Pants. You're an old-school gingham jumper in the prime of youth. Let's hold hands as we skip on some yellow bricks and take the treacherous and defamatory road to auditing insanity. Life became a little more complicated for Lane Meyers this week, as new documents filed by prosecutors about his open charges in Arizona indicate that the prosecution will not be letting up on pressure they've put on the YouTuber, while the judge in the case has ruled against another media request by Mark Reluctant Prophet Kelly. Kelly's request was simply dismissed by Judge D. Douglas Metcalf without hearing, based on a previous ruling at the start of proceedings in the case. He had ruled against individual audio and video recording in the courtroom during Meyers' trial, as Pima County, Arizona provides audio feeds from all of his trials. The ability to audio and video record in Arizona's Superior Court has been an ongoing quest for Kelly, who most recently had his request to film the Meyers change of plea deal rejected by presiding judge Danielle B. Lewinsky. As each judge in Arizona is allowed to set the policy in their own courtroom, Lewinsky is a bit more tolerant of individual recording, as she allowed Kelly and others to personally audio record in her courtroom. She did not, however, force Metcalf to allow audio recording within his courtroom based on Kelly's application to film. It should be noted that Kelly did not record the hearing, despite having the ability to do so. Mark Tucson Police Suck Brown did, and was able to provide significantly better audio than the court did, as the microphones in Judge Lewinsky's courtroom were having technical difficulties during the hearing. With no one providing alternative audio to Meyers' July trial, fans of Meyers will have to rely on Pima County's broadcasts to provide adequate coverage of their hero. Meyers himself has been attempting to skirt his own agreement with Prosecutor Rachel Stiles and Judge Metcalf in regards to live streaming from the Pima County Adult Correctional Facility. The jailed YouTuber had previously agreed to stop live streaming from the Pima County Adult Correctional Facility while the facility revised their guidelines on inmates live streaming from their cells. He recently revisited his agreement, however, as he said their policies would allow him to do interviews from press outlets such as local television stations and newspapers. With no local media outlets apparently interested in Meyers' story, he's turned to his friends and associates in the First Amendment auditing community to do the same sort of interviews, sitting for recordings which would be aired later instead of directly live streaming. In more recent interviews, Meyers has given the full name of his victim in the case and said that she was his so-called victim and a victim of her own stupidity. Meyers has said that he is willing to name the victim and disparage her despite an ongoing protection order, because what else can they do to me? Meyers is currently being held without bond. In apparent response to Meyers' actions, Prosecutor Rachel Stiles filed 2 notices this week. The first of the 2, a notice of invocation of victim's constitutional rights, gave notice that his victim invoked her rights under Arizona's Constitution to the following: to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, and to be free from intimidation, harassment, or abuse throughout the criminal justice process, to be present at and, upon request, to be informed of all criminal proceedings where the defendant has the right to be present, to refuse an interview, deposition, or other discovery request by the defendant's attorney, or other person acting on behalf of the defendant, to a speedy trial or disposition and prompt and final conclusion of the case after the conviction and sentence. Prosecutor Stiles also provided Meyers with a gentle reminder in a notice of intent regarding prior convictions. In that notice, she indicated that she will be using any prior convictions against Meyers in his upcoming trial, pursuant to Rule 609 of the Arizona Rules of Evidence. Meyers has previously admitted to at least 1 felony conviction in the past, but had argued that his past convictions did not count, as he was so young when they happened. Those convictions played a part during Meyers' recent hearing for a plea deal, as they enhanced guidelines for both the sentencing he would face if he went to trial and if he took the plea deal. The jailed YouTuber has yet to comment on either notice. Meyers is due in court again in mid-July. Colorado YouTuber Regan Benson got a surprise on Wednesday, as the regularly scheduled District 3 Community Citizens Advisory Board meeting was replaced by a cookout and an informal Q&A session between the police and the public. The YouTuber and activist for the homeless had prepared to confront District 3 police about their policies involving police chases that originate in outside counties and come through Denver. A week ago, the driver of a stolen truck had an accident that involved a car with 4 teens inside, resulting in injuries to 1 teen so severe that the teen is still in the hospital. Benson's concern came as the police pursuit of the stolen truck, driven by a man with a long criminal history and who had failed to maintain his status on the sex offender registry, left Aurora and ultimately ended on the outskirts of Denver, where the crash occurred. After briefly surveying the food offered by the police and listening in on one woman making a complaint about a stolen bicycle, Regan deemed the situation unacceptable. She rejected the food offerings and was angered by the fact that she was not notified that the meeting had been changed to an informal dinner and Q&A session. Benson mockingly said to her followers that the change was made because police knew she would be coming, and this would be a way to avoid her questions. She seemed angered by those gathered at the event Wednesday night who were enjoying the food and the informal interactions with police. While Benson has called for the end to organized governments and police forces in the past, her views are increasingly at odds with her actions. She has also been accused of capitalizing on her grievances by filing lawsuits that have resulted in the awarding of go-away money by the cities she targets. Last year, Benson received $130,000 from Denver to settle 2 lawsuits where she claims her First Amendment rights were violated. This included a lawsuit essentially based on an incident where she was blocked from a Denver government online hearing after her actions were deemed disruptive by organizers. Her supporters praise Benson for finding ways to profit off of the stupidity of Denver and other cities in the area. She recently filed a lawsuit against the city of Englewood, Colorado, for trying to curb her alleged attempts at disrupting their monthly city council meetings. With encouragement from the side chat of her live stream, Benson eventually confronted Denver Police Department Sergeant Joel Bell, who was taking a break from cooking hamburgers from the event. Benson expressed her opinion that Denver should stop allowing outside police organizations from conducting chases in Denver, as Denver has a policy that prohibits initiating pursuits for most minor circumstances. Bell countered that the accident did not happen within Denver city limits, so there wasn't much they could do about it. He reiterated that outside police agencies have the right to conduct police pursuits within city limits, as long as they contact and cooperate with Denver police officers when entering the city. Benson complained that she was not notified that the CAB meeting was changed to dinner. Bell explained that he had announced it at the last meeting, and email notifications went out that the event had been changed. Benson again complained that no one mentioned it when she had called over to confirm the meeting earlier. Paul offered to take her email and put her on his email list, which Benson declined. The police sergeant was eventually distracted by event patrons greeting him as they were leaving the dinner. An interaction resulted in Benson deeming Cab and the Denver police hopeless. As she ended the live stream, Benson updated the situation, where she was assaulted by a woman in Englewood at an anti-Trump rally earlier in the year. She said the woman had been summoned to court for a June 12, 2025 hearing, but that the case had not been filed with the court or seen by a district attorney at this time. This is an ongoing news story. Kevin the Angry Vet Soper continued in his self-appointed role as disruptor of the First Amendment community on Thursday, as he interrupted Manuel Mata's live stream in order to derail Mata's planned updates on the efforts to stop the change of punishment for interference with public duties in Texas. If passed, House Bill 3565 would change interfering in public duties from a Class B misdemeanor to a state jail felony. The maximum penalty of 180 days in jail and a $2,000 fine would now become a maximum penalty of 2 years in jail and a $10,000 fine. Most of the Texas-based First Amendment auditors and cop watchers have come against these changes as the bill sits in a committee and the public discusses the changes. Instead of curtailing their behavior in order to diminish the negative attention they get from interaction with police, Mata and others have actually increased their activities in recent days. Texas police have been emboldened by the change of presidential administrations to help crack down on laws that were deemed too weak under the previous administration. As part of that, certain laws are being revisited and things like statewide identification checks have been implemented. The change to HB 3565 is part of these efforts and is aimed at stopping what is seen as harassment of police officers and first responders by First Amendment auditors. Those auditors say they're testing the First Amendment by often insulting and degrading police officers and others in their course of their duties, and disrupting crime and accident scenes with their antics. Lawmakers and police officials have seen the punishment for interference with public duties as too weak, as auditors rack up minor punishments and have monetized breaking the existing law and have been rewarded in clicks and views on YouTube, along with financial gains. A good video by Mata, for example, has been said to offset whatever fines he will receive in the unlikely event he'll be convicted of interfering, along with a nice profit from breaking the law. Soper, a Maryland-based cop watcher and First Amendment auditor, has been at odds with Mata and other Texas-based First Amendment auditors since last summer, when most mocked his involvement with his The Servicemen and Citizens for American Rights Society, or SCARS, nonprofit organization. The YouTuber has served as a disruptor since then, invading side chats of those who have criticized his SCARS organization and stated that it was a scam. If not blocked by channel owner or moderators working a live stream, Soper has the ability to quickly dominate side chats and disrupt the entire broadcast. This was on display on Thursday as Soper managed to throw Mata off his planned comments attacking the proposed changes brought by HB 3565, that he devoted the majority of his time explaining who Soper was and insulting the YouTuber. He said that Soper once tried to turn him against his friends, such as Carolina in Fort Worth, C.J. Grisham, and Harvey Freebird. But the joke was on Soper, as he rarely hung out with Carolina. Freebird was no longer in his area, and he only saw Grisham at court hearings. Mata's rage, however, was apparent, as he singled out Soper's SCARS organization as a scam, and continued to be easily thrown off track by the Maryland-based YouTuber. As Mata insulted Soper, Soper countered that Mata and his friends were the food for police to toy with and eat. The return of Mata to the scam remarks and insults encouraged Soper to continue to type all caps accusations against Mata in the livestream side chat, resulting in Mata screaming back at Soper via video, and whatever messaging Mata was set to bring on Thursday's stream was lost, as both men let petty disputes and insults overshadow a serious issue that they both agreed on and have spoken out against. In the end, it resulted in another lost day in the fight against change to the Texas law. With so much at stake in Texas and serious jail time in the future for auditors if the punishment for the law changes, will Mata and others allow the actions of one man in Maryland continue to sideline them in the pursuit of freedom? We'll continue to monitor the situation in Fort Worth with new details on the controversy surrounding HB 3565 as we receive them. Those following the ongoing saga of Jose Chille DeCastro as he faces off against Kate Peter, Josh Abrams, and Dale Lackluster Hiller in his latest lawsuit, got a rare treat on Friday as the YouTuber released his dirty laundry on the trio to his YouTube channel. DiCastro's video, going a little over an hour, had previously been withheld as the diminutive YouTuber had said that he was giving each party time to settle the lawsuit before he released the devastating information against them. The video, as presented by the YouTuber, saw DiCastro make comments on a highly edited version of a livestream held on Abrams' channel, featuring the trio at one point joined by James Freeman, discussing DiCastro in a negative light following an incident at a Massachusetts Memorial Day parade in 2022. In DiCastro's new version of events from the parade, he claimed the parade was a Back the Blue event rather than a Memorial Day parade. He accused Peter of assaulting him by stepping on his heels, and he shoved Peter at one point to tell her to back away from him. While DiCastro was filmed telling children that police would sexually assault them at the parade, he now defended his statements as he claimed another YouTuber had exposed police for carrying out assaults on children. DiCastro dismissed Peter's claims that he had assaulted her at the parade, as there were no police around and no one interviewed on her behalf, despite evidence where Peter and DiCastro were separated by police at one point. Peter had famously live-streamed before the event that she was racing to find DiCastro that day to film his activities at the parade. DiCastro and Abrams, who went to the parade together, were filmed insulting and degrading Peter's appearance, while Peter was filmed mockingly apologizing for DiCastro's statements to the children at the parade and described him as her mentally disturbed brother. DiCastro had been accused by Peter of stopping short, which resulted in Peter walking into DiCastro's elbow on multiple occasions during the parade. In the version of the same events he presented on the video, he continued to portray Peter as the aggressor, who stepped on his heels, which stopped him and resulted in contact between the two. After witnessing events at the parade, DiCastro and Abrams' friendship dissolved, and Abrams appeared as a witness for Peter at a hearing where DiCastro attempted to get a protection order against Peter. DiCastro would also later unsuccessfully attempt to get a protection order against Abrams. DiCastro would later sue both Abrams and Peter in federal court, and then amended his complaint to dismiss his charges against the pair, substituting them with charges of copyright infringement. That lawsuit was later dismissed with prejudice. Friday's video essentially saw DiCastro show snippets from the live stream held by the trio 10 days after the parade in May of 2022. DiCastro did not provide an actual date for the stream, but indicated that since it was 10 days after the events at the parade, his lawsuit claims that the video was made on or about June 1st, 2022, which would put his June 3rd, 2025 filing outside Massachusetts' 3-year statute of limitations. However, he claimed that since he now knows the events occurred later, so the case cannot be dismissed by missing the statute of limitations cutoff. DiCastro essentially showed the trio making the accusations and defamatory statements he outlined in his lawsuit. He then showed redacted affidavits from those apparently involved in the stories. He also claimed that he had dash cam footage of his time with Abrams, which would exonerate him of any claims by Abrams, but declined to show the footage. The infuriated YouTuber issued a stark warning to anyone who would attempt to bully or defame him, as he would be suing them for their actions. DiCastro did not rule out adding others to the ongoing lawsuit and indicated that he felt sorry for Hiller, who was duped into parroting what the others were saying, and said he wished to settle with Hiller immediately. James Freeman, who appeared in parts of the live stream, was not listed in the lawsuit. According to DiCastro, Freeman apologized for disparaging remarks made against him and would not be included in the lawsuit. Peter, Hiller, and Abrams have yet to issue statements acknowledging the lawsuit. We need your help. Both ReallyCoolSite.org's daily newspaper and our daily newscasts are funded by your continuing donations and what we make from our YouTube AdSense revenue each month. If you'd like to contribute to help us keep the lights on, eating, feeding the cats, defending ourselves from lawsuit threats, and writing news stories to feature on both the newspaper and newscast each day, you can do so via a donation to our PayPal, Cash App, or GoFundMe accounts. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch our videos from beginning to end, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.